Whoa, buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends. How are you this morning on this beautiful hump day, middle of the week, downhill slide to Firearms Friday? And boy, howdy, we've got some good stuff coming up on Firearms Friday. We're going to be joined this week by Jacob Sullum from Reason Magazine, as well as Top Shot Chris Chang. Top Shot Chris Chang will be joining us as well. So it's going to be a good one. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking with the new folks who were involved with the Nicolaitis school. Remember, we're going to be remember they got shut down here I guess it was a couple months ago. They got shut down by the Kenai Peninsula School Board. Well, now they've started their own charter school association, and they're going to be taking the bull by the horns and doing just that. We're going to be talking tomorrow with Natalie Thomas, who is going to be coming on board and talking with us about the charter school and what they're doing with it and everything else. Maybe this has got a silver lining. Maybe this will be a template that other communities can use to create their own school systems and part and parcel, because it's there's I tell you, there's a lot going on, and you're going to see more. You're going to see more of this. You're going to see more school closures. You're going to see more consolidation. There was a report this morning down here on the Kenai, or last night, I guess I should say, on the Kenai Peninsula, about the consolidation of two Soldotna schools. They're going to combine Soldotna Elementary and Redoubt Elementary into the vacant Soldotna Prep School, because they had been talking about building a brand new school, but it was way too expensive. Now, even the combining of the two schools into a single school is going to cost $35 million. But it's going to be more. And then they were going to move they're going to move one of the other schools, which was one of the sorry, I've forgotten which one it was. They're going to move one of the other schools into the then vacant Redoubt. They're going to move everything in. So, I mean, and they're going to try and consolidate. And we're going to consolidate and do something different. There we go. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow in the morning, and it's going to be good. All right. So that's tomorrow. But today we're going to talk with our good friend Cassie Lawver down here in Homer. Long time no see. Haven't talked to her in quite a while. And she's been very active in politics. Cassie was actually one of the first listeners that I got to talk to outside the show when I first started broadcasting in Homer, which was, wow, that's like almost 9 years ago. So it's been a while, been a hot minute. But she's been busy. She's been a busy beaver. And so we're going to bring her on board here in just a second and get things ready to rock and roll. I see she's now in the green room and we're ready to go. Was there anything else that I needed to hit on before? I think that's it. I think we just need to get with the program. So let's do it. Let's bring Cassie Lawver on the program this morning to discuss PACs, political action committees, and more. She joins us right now. Hello.
Hey,
How are you this morning?
I'm fine. And you?
It's just another beautiful day in paradise. I was looking at Olson Mountain this morning and looking at the sky and has it not been some of the most beautiful weather I have ever seen in Homer
Oh,
in the summer? This has been
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
you're
how,
right. It has
yeah,
been a hot minute. I was trying to think of how long myself, and I could not think of it.
yeah,
So,
it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit since you and I have had a chance to chat. So Cassie, first and foremost, give us folks a little bit of background about you and what you do and your advocacy and everything else before we dive into the deep end of the pool here on your subject, just so folks kind of have a handle on where you're coming from with this.
well, Representative Vance and I started about the same time. Back in 2017, I believe, is when the Homer City Council tried to slide in a sanctuary city resolution on us. A bunch of conservatives got together and I like to say storm City Hall, but we went peacefully, but we all had an agenda is that we did not want a sanctuary city. So that's kind of how I got started and met like-minded people here in Homer. Believe it or not, there are a lot of conservatives here. Homer 1 and 2 actually voted for Trump. I know that's shocking, but yes, Homer has a lot of conservative, but unfortunately, we're busy working and carrying on with our lives. We're not as involved as we should. And I seen that need there that we really need to get the community more involved in our local politics. So after the sanctuary city, I think the last time I was on your show was when myself and my friend Jill and Tom Strusov was suing the city when they allowed a member that was elected, and it didn't come to my attention after she was elected, did not live in the city limits at the time that she was running. So we took that to court and we learned some interesting things on that, like the word intent. She was allowed to remain on city council because she intended to move into the city limits. So we let that roll off her back, and I continued on, and I worked with the Kenai Peninsula Republican Women as their treasurer, and learned a lot about government and more about politics, should I say? And
Right.
yeah, right. And then District 6, I was their treasurer and kind of was with them for a couple years. And I still just wasn't feeling that I had reached my calling. And that is, I really want to educate and help people through the process of elections and candidates. And then I really got into the Constitution, studying the Constitution. I lead a Constitution class, biblical citizenship at Regent Life in the wintertime. So, I mean, I'm just kind of trying to still be out there and help people because we need good conservatives in office. We need like-minded people, to be speaking up and letting them know we're not going anywhere. And I think what really got me started on this PAC thing is if everybody remembers last year, we the ranked choice voting, the repeal, the yes on 2, everybody remembers that,
Right.
where we only
Right.
lost by, what did we lose by?
700
758 something.
750 votes. Yeah.
Yeah. But you get to looking at why that was so close. So Michaela, who was running the yes on 2, told me she only raised about $103,000. Now, if you go on the other side of that, they raised about 15, 16, depending on what source you find. It's anywhere from 13 to 16 million. And that's a little lopsided. And we almost won 750 votes, 58 votes. So that really did the money really sway the votes, 750 votes, they had money for ads and all this. But when you get deep diving into this dark money, and then you see what's going on in Juneau when they want to do their, campaign finance reform, and what another ballot initiative that's about to come forward about campaign reform, it just really kind of irked me. I believe we conservatives need a place that we could donate money, time, or whatever to help better our state and share our views and make sure our views are heard. So I started this PAC at the beginning of the year because I couldn't find any other place in the state. I reached out to people across the state saying, is there just like a PAC, just an Alaskan PAC that shares my views, conservative views and so forth, that I could donate to, that I can help, that I can be a part of? And there wasn't. So, and if there is, they sure didn't share it with me. So I just kind of jumped out there and said, this is needed. With my PAC, it's called Alaska Patriots. I have people I talk to are like, yes, this is what we need. This is what we need. And so I've been talking to people what they want to see from a PAC. What do they want from a PAC? Because I want this to be the PAC of the people. I want people, like-minded people, to be a part of it and share where they think the money should go and so forth. And so down here in Homer, it's been great. I've raised a few bucks down here, and I was talking to my friend Sarah, and she's like, you need to go further with this. You want to go further, you want to help repeal ranked choice voting, you want conservatives elective. I'm involved all over the state with different people all over the state. So she goes, take it statewide. So here I am.
Now, political action committees, or PACs, as we've been talking about, have shown some outsized power in the state.
Yes.
You mentioned the different various PACs that were against the ranked choice voting repeal. We can go back to the formation of and the beginning of ranked choice voting, and there were some PACs in there at that time. They spent just over $7.5 million convincing Alaskans that they needed ranked choice voting. And ironically, they didn't really even use the ranked choice argument during that time. The main argument, and I would say probably 80% of the advertising, because I was at a radio station, and so I would see these ads come in, right? And I would see these ads come in, and probably 80% of the ads said nothing about ranked choice voting. It was all about removing dark money. Now, the irony of this, and folks, you can go back and look at this for yourself. You can go back. The FCC requires radio stations, when they take advertising from any candidate or issue, to put it in a public file so you can see who pays for it, right? And you could see the various organizations that paid for it, and they were all, I guess, considered they're outside PACs that are originating outside the Alaska. They're dark money coming outside, and some of them you still can't figure out who the actual ultimate player in that was. And so political action committees have a lot of voice in various communities, whether they live there or not. And it's a big deal, and it's a big money deal too, right, Cassie?
It is on the other side. I mean,
Sure,
there is no money pouring in with conservative values behind it. We're not getting that dark money, as they say, even though the liberals down in Homer that I talk to that know what I'm doing are like, oh, you're going to get dark money. You can't do that. Well, define dark money for me. If it's grassroots from individuals in Alaska, then I guess I am. But if you're talking outside money, no, I'm not. And it's not from a lack of trying. So you might find this interesting, Michael. I went through Dunleavy's and Sullivan's FEC reports and APOC reports. I found their top donors of 20,000 or more, and I sent them a little packet about my PAC and everything, and asking for a donation, and I got nothing. And that's been about 4 months. So I don't know why conservatives don't want to share or help Alaska with repealing ranked choice voting, but we don't get the money from outside.
Right. No, it's interesting. The left has gotten very good. There are a few There are a few right-leaning PACs out there.
A few,
Uh,
yeah.
There's a few, very few comparatively. I would probably say it's a 4 or 5 to 1.
Oh,
That's probably
definitely.
conservative. That's probably a
That is
conservative.
very conservative.
Yeah, 4 or 5 to 1 as far as liberal PACs versus conservative PACs. But yeah, the left has really kind of created a monopoly on this money shuffle. Whether it's the Blue American or all these other Arabella Fund, there's so many different groups that are consolidating money and shuffling them from one organization to what the 151 fund. I mean, there's we could, there's dozens of names that
Mhm.
that are some of the same players over and over and over again. But the conservatives have really not gotten the memo yet that
No.
if you're going to play in the pool with the big boys, that they're going to have to start to consolidate some of this stuff. Although that does lead me to some questions, Cassie, which we'll get to here in just a minute, but we're up against the break. So we're going to continue here in just a second. Cassie Lawver is our guest. We're talking about her new PAC, the Alaska Patriots PAC, and we're going to see where this goes from here. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return right after this.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes, allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet. Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Cassie Lawver is our guest here on the program, and we appreciate her coming on board and joining us. Cassie, I apologize. I have to sidebar for just a second.
Sure.
I see Henry's back this morning, and Henry apparently left the program yesterday before he heard my admonition, which was, Henry, get with the program on, what we're talking about, and don't be dropping novels in the chat room on the same thing over and over and over again. So this is your warning, Henry. If you'd like to participate in the current conversation, feel free to do so. If not, feel free to go somewhere else. Okay. I've been patient with you for a long time here, and we've talked a bit about what you want to talk about with the invasion and the deportation and everything else. But if you can't read the room and you can't be snarky, then if you can't not be snarky, I guess I should say. Okay. Well, and in the middle of me talking, he did it. So bye. Banhammer. So that's the second person in 7 years that I've banned. That's only the second person.
Wow.
So, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to actually delete that. Boom. Okay. So, there we go. We're back to Cassie right now. This is a pretty big undertaking, Cassie, because now you're going to try and play. You're going to play in the deep end of the pool with the big boys. That's a pretty tough. That's a pretty tough deal. Are you ready for it? Are you girding your loins? All ready?
Well, what's funny is this wasn't a decision I made overnight. I've been thinking about this for probably almost 2 years, and I've done my research, and I've talked to attorneys, and I've talked to accountants, and I wanted to make sure. I wanted somebody, I think, to talk me out of it. I think, and I just, everything that they were sharing with me, I mean, I was already kind of doing from one group or another. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, between sitting down with my husband, because it is a big undertaking, and praying about it, it's like, well, all right, let's just jump in if we're going to do this. So by the first of the year, I had everything ready and kind of launched, but I've been kind of sitting on it because I kind of feel like everybody's got election fatigue from the last few years.
Well, I would not disagree with that. And then I think Fat Ray on YouTube has made a couple comments that I'm going to string together here, because I think that they I think that they're also accurate. He says, first, he says, while I commend her efforts, I think she erroneously is classifying people as conservatives who are not, when you mentioned going to
Right.
Dunleavy's people and
Right.
Sullivan's people. And I would
That's
agree with that.
true.
And then she
True.
says, it's obvious why she's not getting donation from party's donors. She's actually a conservative. And
I
that,
agree with that too.
well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, that's the thing.
It is.
People that we think are, oh yeah, Sullivan, and oh yeah, but are they
No.
really conservative? And the problem is, no, it's more about
No.
retaining power and
Yes.
kind of impetus and momentum rather than staying to a platform or actually
It is.
pushing. Look at Murkowski, right? I mean, look,
Oh,
so this is a tough, this is a tough, like I said, this is the big leagues. And
this is.
you're like the farm boy who stepped up from the from the farm league into the big leagues, and
Yes.
it's a whole new deal. So
Actually, I kind of feel like I'm coming out of the holler in Kentucky trying to find my way through the big city. So
yeah,
it's
exactly. They dropped you right on Broadway. You stepped from the
they
holler
did.
right onto Broadway. So it's definitely a tough situation. All right, well, we're 25 seconds out from rejoining the radio. Thank you for coming in and joining us. We're going to be talking with Cassie here for the remainder of the hour. Please like and share, like and follow. Don't let Henry win. He said we only had 4 likes. We have 12 likes, but he was like, "Oh, we only have." Anyway, give us a like and a share and do all that stuff. Let's get back to it. We're about to continue with Cassie here on the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Let's do it. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Huh. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, we're continuing now with Cassie Lawver, who's down here from the peninsula, and she has started a new PAC calling all conservatives. It's called the Alaska Patriot PAC, and we were just talking during the break about being thrown into the deep end of the pool with the sharks, right? And because it's a big pool, and it's kind of amazing because, like I said, if you start looking through APOC reports and then you follow the money trail, because
Yes.
what we have here, and I want to sidebar here for a second, Cassie, before I get back to you specifically. Sure. I did a thing here about, this is right before ranked choice voting. The first repeal was voted on. I was looking at some of the groups that were funding the anti-repeal rhetoric, and you'd have one group would be named in the advertisements. One group would be named. Then you go look at that group, and you'd find out that group is not really. They're not getting the money directly. They're not going out to the people and proselytizing the money directly. They are collecting money from 4 or 5 other different PACs. And then you go to those PACs and you find them that they are a clearinghouse for other. I mean, it's this like this tree, the roots just kind of go out where there's different funds and different things. And you find out that some of it is funded by, multimillionaires, and some of it is funded by smaller PACs that have gathered monies from all over the East Coast. And, it's like I said, it's a very tangled web when it comes to PACs, but you're just looking at an Alaska PAC that is just Alaskans, supporting it here, maybe getting some help from some outside conservative groups if you can. But as we were saying before we break, we just haven't learned. The conservative side of the spectrum has not learned how to do this. Not that I feel dirty doing it kind of the way that they're doing it, but at the same time, we've got to fight back.
No, we do. And, during the break, you mentioned somebody from YouTube had mentioned, my problem is the whole being a conservative. Well, I have some actual libertarian friends down here in Homer and stuff that are on board with this. I mean, it as much as I am conservative, I'm just looking for like-minded people, and they're out there. We don't all have to agree on everything, but we have to agree on the basics, and that's anything that they're not. The liberal agenda. If you're going against the liberal agenda, come talk to me. Because I would like to team up with you. And but being conservative, you're right. I'm not advertising this as a Republican. I was involved with the Republican Party, and did not have a problem with them or anything. It's just I just felt that was very, very limited. Um, I just people they hear the word Republican and automatically go to Gary Stevens, rhino. He's a rhino.
Right, right,
How can
right.
you allow that? How can you
Right.
allow that? Lisa
Well,
Murkowski.
it's a label you don't need, right?
It
I mean,
is.
it's
It
a
is.
label that you don't need
Nope.
because I think people, and I don't remember if you said this during the break or before we went to break, but people are tired. People are
They
tired
are.
of the and they're tired of being disappointed and betrayed by the
Right.
party. I have been saying this for years on the show. You've been a listener, you've known.
Mhm.
That I've been tired for years of the Republican Party and their lack of discipline in taking their own members to task. You've got people in there who, wear the elephant on their lapel, but then when they get down there, it's all big government all the time.
Yes.
It's
All
all big government, it's all more spending, it's all that, and I've said for years that part of the problem is that the Republican Party has just never taken the bull by the horns. I mean, the whole Murkowski write-in thing was when things really started to show, in a big way. And so by distancing yourself and not affiliating it with a party, I think that's a great idea because you might be able to attract those people who are independent, libertarian. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I support you
Right.
in this cause, right? There's others who are independents, and let's face it, the independents, quote unquote, not registered independents, but unaffiliated, undeclared independents, they make up the vast majority of the electorate across the country. And
Right.
so they're just looking for somebody they can align with on this.
Right. Oh, you're absolutely right. Um, I've seen our Alaska Republican Party make a lot of strides this past year with the leadership. I'm, really impressed with Camilla and everything she's doing, as our chair of Republican Party, or state. But you're right. There's a lot of people that are not happy with the party, and I've probably talked to more people that have distanced themselves from the party and don't know what to call themselves. They don't really want to be called conservatives or libertarian. There is just people out there that just want to be, I hate to say independent, because when you research the independent party, you may not align with it so much either. But there's just
Right.
people out there that are like me that don't really affiliate with any party, but they just want good moral, people with good values, morals, and just
Right.
less government. I
Right.
mean, there's
Smaller,
just
smaller, more limited. I would
Mhm.
use the term no labels, but that's been
No
already
way.
been
I know.
hijacked by something else, right? But it's the no
True.
labels part. But I mean, true. That's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for a smaller, limited government,
Yep.
leave people. How about the leave me alone party? I mean, that's kind of what we want, right? We want the leave me,
Exactly.
get off my lawn, stay off the tundra, whatever it is, that
Right.
it was doing it. Some questions from the chat room, and I think I these are some pretty good questions. One, how do we donate to the PAC? Greg asks. So we'll get to that. But two, Cindy also asks a very good question. How will the PAC determine who it donates to? Is there a board? Is there a committee? Are you the one deciding factor? How is this PAC organized for folks
Well,
who want?
that is a great question, Cindy. Well, actually, it is myself and my husband and my mom who is on the board. But if when we share a link or however I can get the information out there on Anadot, when you go online and you click to donate to me or to the PAC, there's a drop down box, and it says, where do you want to put your money? Do you want to put your money where legislative watch or oh my goodness, I don't even have it pulled up here. Legislative watch, oh, local candidates, repeal ranked choice voting. You have a choice of where you want that money to go. Now, because I want this PAC to be of the people, and I want, the people to drive it, to help drive it, anybody who donates will personally, I will send a copy of the APOC reporting, every time I file it, I will send it out to people so they can see where the money's going, where their money is going in the state. Right now, everything that I had donated so far, most of everything I had has gone to start up the PAC. I've got a great couple of people in Homer who has donated me to help start the PAC. I'm like, well, don't you want it to go to local candidates right now? Nope, you get this up and running. So there, you have the choice of where the money goes. And I guarantee you, I think from being a treasurer and from being a bookkeeper most of my life and my accounting background, I am very much want to be transparent with the money. I mean, I handled everybody's money, everybody else's money my whole life. I mean, I worked for a construction company, multi-million-dollar construction company. I worked for title companies and then that's why Cindy and the ladies from the KPRW had me become treasurer for 4 years, is because when it comes to money, I'm very conscious about it. And I want to make sure it's the will of the people. That's the reason I created this. Because when you give money to someone, you don't know where it goes. Now, if you give it to like Sarah Vance or Ben Carpenter or something, you pretty much knew where it was going for their campaign. But if you was to give it to a PAC, you don't know. Does they share the same values?
Right.
And my website is being worked on at this moment, so I don't have it to share with you right now because I've not got it done yet. But all of this will be on there. The link will be on there. My, everything that I stand for, and most of everybody that's in your chat room, I see pretty much know me personally, and I hope they can vouch to me that when it comes to handling money donations, that the will of the people is what I want done.
When you started this, what did you envision the main focus to be? Is it on, is it issues? Is it in, because a PAC can do different things. A PAC can be, mostly focused on an issues. It can donate money to specific candidates. It can do,
right.
What did you envision this as? Was this more of a clearinghouse for a little bit of everything, or were you mostly focused on issues to try and put pressure on various legislators during a session, or are you looking to push ballot measures? What is in your mind? What is your focus in that regard?
Well, it first started out, I'm really about local government. What goes on in your backyard. I love my family, but when you go camping, you're sitting around campfire, they can tell you all day long about Trump. But when I ask them about the borough assembly, nobody can say. They don't even know who's on the assembly. So really, my main focus has always been local government.
You just poked a hot button for me. They can tell you everything that happened in Washington, D.C. in the last 60 days, but they can't tell you the last 3 big things that the borough has been fighting over, or their city councils, or their community councils, right? They're not paying. They're so distracted by the bread and circus that is Washington, D.C. that they have zero impact on, and yet they're not paying attention to what's happening in their own backyard. It is just so stupid. I mean, sorry, I apologize.
No, I understand. And I think you and I years ago had this discussion. One of our first discussions, I believe, was local government and how it's hard for people to, I mean, I agree, let's follow the state level, but when you start getting outside the state, I mean, what good is that doing us? I mean, our backyard is what's controlling our taxes, what we can do, property rights. That's been a big thing coming up here lately that people are not paying attention to. So it really did start out as a local government, but I've always had my hands in the ballot measures, helping taking signatures or whatever's going on in the state. I've been involved long enough where I got to know people across the state, and they know I'm just willing to help whenever they need it. So I get a phone call and need to be somewhere to help, raise money for a candidate, I was always there. So really, it did start out as local government, but as important as ranked choice voting is, and we have other ballot measures that have not been good for the state that's come up, that I just don't see a lot of my like-minded thinking people, being educated about, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, and I would agree with that. I mean, again, we get so wrapped up in all this national stuff, and we're missing what's in our own backyard. And it would be nice to have an Alaska-centric PAC that was focused on state issues and borough issues, and maybe even potentially city issues in the various cities. Yeah, and I think that's a laudable cause, and I think that's definitely the direction where we need to go. All right, we're up against the next break. Cassie Lawver is our guest. We're going to continue here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll tell you how you can get a hold of Cassie here on the other side and where we're going from here and how she envisions this. We'll return in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Back with more right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we continue with Cassie, and I'm going to hit a couple of the comments here because I think there's a couple that are really good here. Fat Ray continues, this is correct. We need some common ground. Unfortunately, conservatives have none with the establishment politicians and their donors. The donors will never contribute to something that abridges their own power. And I would agree with that. It's all about a continuation of power. Polly says, we want Alaska first. Yes, that's exactly.
Absolutely.
And if I did have one bone of contention to pick with you, Cassie, I am going to agree with
only
Brian.
one.
Only one. I am going to agree with Brian. He said, why the name Alaska Patriot? Wouldn't something more innocuous be more effective or less of a lightning rod? Patriot is way overused. And I'll be honest, when you told me the name of the PAC, that was the first thing I thought of. I said, oh, you're going to see a lot of people who are
I know,
triggered by that kind of thing. And, maybe Alaska First or, Alaska Small Government Coalition or something. I mean, I don't know give me your...
I got a good reason.
Okay. I want to hear it.
Oh, you want to hear this? Okay. Because when you're sitting down and you're thinking of something that, that could last, you hope to last a lifetime, something that you want to make an impact, and you start going through names, holy cow, is it hard. My husband and I even solicited some help from my friend Sarah, and coming up with a name is hard. I mean, and then I'd get a few names, and at work, I'd run them through some people, customers that come through, and they're just look at me like, no, I don't like that. So, after a while here, we were creeping up on, January 1st, 2025. And I'm like, I've got to do something in 25 because we got a big election in 26. And back and forth. And I, for the life of me, could not come up with anything other than, Patriot has just kept what. I guess I was at the fair last year, and there was a couple of vendors that I didn't know that knew me. They, they're not even from Homer, and I don't know how they knew me, but they knew me and my mom. And one of them told my mom, goes, you should be so proud of your daughter. She is such a patriot for conservatism. And I just thought to myself, that's a really nice compliment. No one's ever said that.
Right.
And so maybe that's why it's kind of stuck in my head, from that. But, it's one of those things where I could come up with a name all day long for you. If you were creating something, I could throw out ideas right and left. But when it comes to me, something you're doing, I couldn't think of anything to save my life.
No, well, that's why you call the marketing guy when you have a question. Like that.
That's, you know what? I almost did bring you in on that. I really did. But, in October, you were moving your studio. You had a lot going on in your world when I was trying.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. No, but we'll see what that comes through. Frank says Alaska anarchism. How about that name? No, we don't need anarchism. Cassie, Cindy says Cassie is seriously amazing. I have nothing but the utmost respect for what she's trying to
thank
create.
you.
I'll be in touch. And website is still being
It is. I
put together.
I did turn that over to somebody else because I worked for 6-7 months, and I'm not a web designer. I'm just
Yeah.
not. It looked cheap and tacky, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to hire someone. And of course,
Yeah.
I got into that game kind of late, so they're still working on it. It should be out here soon, they said.
I'm sorry. Terry just said, please don't block me. Going off topic. Matsu Burrow's going to pass a 7-cent gas. First of all, Terry, I would never block you. You had to realize, how long has Henry been in that chat room spouting off the nonsense? Months. I just finally had enough of it, so it wasn't you. Don't worry. We'll talk about the gas tax. It'll be fine. Frank says conservatives can't even agree on a name.
I know, right?
That's again, isn't this the problem with conservatives in general?
It is.
Progressives are so kumbaya, and it takes a village, and we're all together holding hands and giving the world a Coke and a smile. And conservatives are like rugged individuals. Get the hell off my lawn, kind of thing. That they can't. It's like herding cats with a shotgun. So anyway, it's definitely a frustrating thing to see. All right, I think was that most of the major questions. I see Charlie's got a question, but I want to ask that one when we return to the radio. Fat Ray says when you talk to people who don't know where they fit in and just want to be left alone, remind them that the team that wants to win will always beat the team that just wants to be left alone.
Ooh, that is true.
Which is a fancy way of saying what we've been talking about here. My old adage of government is what happens to you when you stop paying attention. When you throw up your hands and walk away and stop paying attention, that's when government happens to you. And we've got to be engaged. Because just to hold back the tide, we've got to be engaged, right? Even just to hold back the advance of government. So, all right, Cassie, here we go. Let's jump back into it. One final segment, The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
The Michael Duke Show. Seriously humorous with a pinch of intellect. Sorry. That is humorous. Here's Michael Dukes.
Okay, we're continuing now. Cassie Lawver is our guest. She has formed a PAC called the Alaska Patriot PAC. And it's in its baby steps. It's in its formation. It's formative months here. We were just talking about what Cassie wants to, what does she envision this doing, what are we going to be supporting, whether it's and of course you're saying it's going to be focused on state issues, and borough issues, local city issues. And also candidates. Are you planning on donating to certain candidates that support the kind of the vision and the mission statement of the PAC?
Yes, if that's what donors want, that's what we will do. Like I said, this is all a kind of almost a new concept, because normally when you donate to somebody, you don't really have a say. And this is definitely outside my comfort zone to a point, but I really want to make this of the people. I mean, it's we the people. And, we were talking about during the break about the name, we were kind of joking about the name, and, I was honest, when you're trying to come up with something, it's really hard to come up with a name that is going to capture everybody's attention. Apparently this one might have, though. But at the end of the day, it's something that I feel is needed here, and I think other people, by talking to other people across the state, I believe so too. But I'm going to tell you guys, this is all new ground, for me. Everybody that knows me for the last 8 years that I've been involved, I'm always the first to jump in and help anybody, but to do this, it's a little
Right.
terrifying. I mean,
well,
but the longer I do it and the more people I talk, and the reason I came on the show today is to talk about it is because I'm hoping to get feedback from people,
Right.
tell me the direction. I mean, I could sit and plan all day long, but at the end of the day, I still want it to be about Alaskans and
Right.
doing what's right for Alaska.
Well, it's an interesting model that you're trying to create, and that's really what you're trying to create because generally
Yeah.
speaking, a PAC is tightly controlled by whoever formed it. And they go out and
Mhm.
they farm money from whoever that they're getting. And then they, like you said, they get to decide. It sounds to me like you're trying to crowdsource not only the
Yeah.
funding, but you're trying to crowdsource the direction and which, I've worked with groups of people that could be challenging doing things
You
by
know?
committee or, those kind of things. It's it's a tough thing, but it's also, again, kind of a refreshing thing because people want to be able to have a voice in what's going on.
Mhm.
And so, if you are able to take an amalgamation of what everybody wants to try and focus on, it'll be tougher, but it also might be more satisfying in the long run.
And I believe so. And, this is kind of a new concept of getting people involved. But that's at the end of the day, money's great. We need money for advertising and to help with our causes. But at the end of the day, I really want people to be involved, and I want to be there to help people, navigate these political waters. And it would be great to turn the concept of instead of talking about politics, we actually talk about government, you know, instead of
Yeah.
what's going on um, politically wise. I mean, it's just been so polarized. It really is simple as just having a conversation with someone about the issues and getting them to vote. It's
Yeah.
really that simple to be so hard.
Charlie asks the question, what is the advantage of donating to the PAC versus directly to candidates? What's and I don't know that if you have an answer for that, because a PAC is not necessarily just about candidates,
No.
but what is the advantage of donating to the PAC versus directly to the candidates?
Either or. Right now, Alaska does not have any limits on their donation, so you can donate unlimited funds to candidates or to PACs at this time. Now, there is a bill, and I think it sits in the House right now for campaign finance. Uh, and I believe there's going to be a ballot initiative. There is a group trying to limit the amount of oh my goodness, it's awful early, contributions to 2,000. But as far as the difference go, I will encourage people to donate directly to a candidate. But the way I like to see it is I don't believe a candidate should use their funds to um, put the word out about who's running against them. We're going to use Sarah Vance as an example because she's down here in Homer. But when she ran against um, Brent Johnson was just saying all kinds of awful things. But Sarah, she doesn't run her campaign that way. She won't badmouth anybody. She sticks to her. She focuses on what she can do for the people, not what somebody else has done. So I always believe a PAC or individuals can help by let's getting information about the other side out. So donating to a candidate, they're probably going to use their money for their views, which they should, getting their policies or whatever out. Where a PAC can be a little more, can talk about everybody per
Right.
se, put ads out about everybody.
Right.
So
They could
it's
be a
really
little bit more
dependent
strategic, right? I mean, they could be more
right,
strategic and targeted and say, okay, this candidate voted for this, this, and this, or this is their
right,
position on this, this, and this,
right,
something that nobody else will say. And
right.
it also, because you can't coordinate, PACs are not allowed to coordinate with candidates or
Nope,
anything, or even talk to candidates.
nope.
Then it also, it gives, puts it outside that kind of area of accountability as well.
It
And of course,
does.
if the limits do come in, if the
Yeah,
new limits do come in, you will be limited out from contributing to a candidate to a certain amount, and then you could still
that's right.
donate to a PAC that
To a
also
PAC.
supports, that supports
Hmm.
those ideals and those things. So, Cassie, you're working on your website for the
Yes.
Alaska Patriot PAC.
Hmm.
Um, But if folks want to say they want to work with you now, they want to help you, they want to give input, they want to help serve on a board, they want to,
Mhm.
they want to help you because again, this is a monumental undertaking. How do folks get a hold of you right now to do that? And how do are you doing meetings? Are you doing whatever Zoom calls? Tell me what you're doing for that.
Well, yes, as soon as I get more people that want to be involved, I will definitely be having meetings and open meetings to the public. Because again, I'm all about educating and getting the word out there. But right now, you can call me or text me or Facebook message me, email me. All of that information, we can put out there. I don't care if you don't care, I can share my phone number. I mean, half of Homer has it already anyway.
Yeah,
So
go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. Give us phone number or
yeah,
email address if you want folks to reach out to you for more information.
yeah,
Now's the time to do it.
yeah. Okay, my number is 907-299-7014. And you can email me at Cass Lawver, so it's CASLAWVER at me.com. And yeah, you can Facebook message me. And I know I feel a little disorganized, kind of jumping the gun to talk to you, but the reason I want to talk to you this week is because I'm also going to be at the Ninilchik, the Kenai Peninsula Fair in Ninilchik this weekend. I have a booth, and so I'll be there. I'm encouraging people to swing by and talk to me. Let's have that conversation. Give me your ideas, ask me questions. I mean, I am just like all of the listeners out there. I hate to say I'm a nobody, but I'm just a small town girl, just really, really who cares and loves this state. I mean, this is my home. I mean, I was born in Alaska. This is it for me. And I want to see it on the right path. I want Alaska to be first. I want Alaska to thrive. We could go all day about our resources and the direction
Right,
of our state. That's
right,
what you do for a living, right?
right.
So I don't know. I just invite people to come to the fair and see me. There'll also be someone taking signatures to on the repeal ranked choice voting. Bethany called me and asked me if I'd be willing to let someone sit in the booth and take signatures, and I'm like sure. And she talked me into taking signatures at some point, but just come down the fair. Let's have a conversation. Reach out to me if you're not able to. I'm pretty easy to talk to, and here I am.
All right. Cassie Lawver, CassLawver at me.com
Yep.
is the email address, and the phone number is 299 what was it? 299
7014.
7014. All right.
Yeah.
Cassie Lawver, our guest. Cassie, thanks for this. And we'll have you back on to talk about it once you get your website up and everything else. And we can
Yes,
continue this
absolutely.
and we'll do that as well. So hold the line, Cassie, for just a second.
Sure.
Folks, we're out of time. Hour 2 dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based. Free Thinking Radio. Okay. You know the drill. Last couple minutes here. Last couple minutes. Final bite at the apple. Anything else that we could say? I think Alaska first would have been a great Alaska first.
It sounds like really, I like that too, but a little late now. But no, you're right. I probably should have reached out to you. Maybe I should have came on your show and asked people to help me with the name. See, now I have all these great ideas.
You could have crowdsourced the name and gotten it out.
I could have crowdsourced the name.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, because you're trying, again, you're trying not to alienate people because, like you said, when you mentioned it earlier, if you say the word Republican, you now may have isolated and insulted a whole group of people who are conservatives who are just, they've washed their hands and they're just done with the Republican Party because of all the shenanigans. And so baby steps. Maybe
it's a learning curve. I'm telling you, I'm definitely out of my element.
Maybe you can change the name down the road or whatever, but it doesn't. It doesn't. At this point, we're just getting started, and we're seeing what it could be. But I mean, I think this is a great idea. And I'm going to put you in touch with a few folks who had tossed this idea around.
That'd be great.
last year or the year before, they were tossing this idea around, and they actually had some connections with some of
nice.
the bigger master PACs, I guess, or whatever, the bigger
Right.
ones outside. So I'll see if I can get you in contact with that, and we can go there. Yeah, we should have. Great, Brian. We should have called it the 6 o'clock pact, right? The
Right?
6, right? You know, well, you look at some of these names, and it's like the 151 fund, and the this and that, and the. I mean, it you know, it could have been innocuous, or it could have been branded, and so we went
It
with the
could.
brand. Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it really was. We would try different names and it'd be taken or it'd be too close, you know. And it's like, well, I'd go with something simple and hopefully the messaging is better than the name, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for the all we want is smaller, more limited government and to be left alone pack. That's what I wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
That should have been it. That should have been it.
Boy.
Well, I will tell you, the next time I come on, we really need to deep dive. I've been really deep diving these packs and how foundations. I mean, they're big foundations are funding these packs too. I mean, it's crazy trying to follow the money.
Yeah,
So,
no, following the money is, like I said, I did a little bit of this dive here during the ranked choice voting repeal because I was curious about some of the names that I would see come across on these forms. When I was working at the radio station, I'd see these names come across on these forms, and I'm like, I've never heard of that organization. So I go look it up, and then I'd find out that they are a funnel type organization for other organizations, and I'd be going like, you know, and I was like, wow, there's just, it's a tangled web. Like I said earlier, it's a tangled web, and you've got no idea who's giving money to all this.
None.
And then again, the whole. It was not the Blue American. What's the name of the thing that they discovered was charging people's cards?
Act Blue.
Act Blue. Yeah, Act Blue. That's what it is. Act Blue and some of these other ones. And you're like, it's a whole business. It's a whole business of doing that and raising money. So anyway, Cassie, congratulations. And when exactly did you lose your mind? I'm just.
Couple years ago, but it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. This is they say, here's your sign that you might be crazy. The 907 pact. That's not a bad one either. I mean, you know,
that was one of the names, but when we put it in, there were so many 907s out there that it was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, 907 initiative, which is not a good, you know, you don't want to be tied to them. I mean,
right.
So it was, it was a long process. I finally had to just do something because we'd been thinking about it for so long that I just finally jumped on something.
Hey, you know what? It's better to make a mess and do something than to be baked in a squad.
Well, I think I did something right because I had a liberal, we won't name any names, but he was a liberal, called, threatened me, telling me that I could not use Alaska Patriots because they were using it and blah, blah, blah. So I just went and started the trademarking to trademark it so they couldn't mess with me. So I contacted their office and they put me through, and I talked to an attorney to help me walk through it. And he said, yeah, this is a good idea. Even if it's, you know, not important, it'll keep people from threatening you, you know, taking up your time. Just taking up your time.
Then you can send a cease and desist to them to say you can't use it anymore. Exactly.
That's right.
All right. Well, Cassie, thank you so much for coming on board, and let me know when you're a little further down the road, and we'll continue on. All right.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Right.
Cassie Lawver, our guest. We'll talk to you again soon as well on the program. Melissa says, how do you handle it or report it when you know a PAC is controlled by a candidate? Oh, I think I'd call APOC. That's who I would call. And probably the Attorney General's office. Probably both. That's what I would do. But APOC would be the one. And you just file a complaint. You just file a complaint with whatever backing proof you've got. And you just get that out there. That's what you do. APOC would be the prime one. And I'd probably file that in concurrence with the Attorney General. That's probably where I would go. Okay, hour 2. I had this whole plan of where I was going to talk about a certain thing, and now I've decided that I just don't feel like getting angry today. Is that a bad look? Is that a bad look when I say something like that? I just don't feel like getting angry today. I don't know. We'll go on. We'll hit some of these headlines. We'll see how I feel about this on the other side. Let's do it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
Sounds just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Oh, baby. Happy hump day to you. Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukesshow.com, where you'll find links to the audio-only live stream, as well as links to, of course, all of our simulcasts, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Rumble, and everything else. Go out there and check it out. Again, michaeldukesshow.com. And, of course, live around the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hey, my friends, how you doing today? You ready to go? I had a plan. I was going to talk about this thing, but you know what? I just feel like after yesterday, I was kind of agitated by the end of the show. And Chris kind of talked me down off the ledge a little bit, but I was just like, I don't know if I want to jump into that real. But Fat Ray is right. He goes, Michael's, because I just said that to the chat room during the break, that I didn't feel like getting kind of agitated and worked up. And he said Michael Savage would say the same thing right before we'd go on a 45-minute tear, and maybe that's what's going to happen this morning. I don't know. I don't know, but we're going to keep things rolling right now. But let's hit some of the headlines. Should we start off with some good news? This is kind of under the better late than never category, because this was in the news here 5-6 days ago, and I'm just getting around to it now because I kept getting kind of put off. But I think it's fun. If you haven't had a chance to hear Silas Luke Jones and see him in action, you're missing out. Silas Luke Jones is from down here in Homer, and he is a performer, a guitar player, and he is he's amazing. He does what they call percussive finger style guitar, which is I really enjoy that style of guitar work, and have for the last 5 or 6 years before I even met or saw Silas Luke Jones. There's a couple folks out on the internet who do this type of guitar playing, and it's fascinating to watch, and it just sounds amazing. But Silas Luke Jones last Tuesday, last Tuesday, took to the stage of America's Got Talent. And he wowed the judges. It earned him 4 yes votes and advanced him to the next stage of the competition. Now, Silas has been playing the guitar since he was just a kid, like 10 years old. And he said, I guess He said it was kind of a choice of like, what do I want to invest my time in? He said at the time I was taking karate lessons and my folks were like, what about music? So he's no Bruce Lee except with a guitar, I guess is what it's all about. And he signed up for the show, by the way, without telling his parents. He said it's just like he didn't tell his parents, and they were like, it was just exciting to see him step out and take the initiative. And it was great. So if you missed it, I don't know if you can go back and watch it on YouTube on the replay or whatever, but his audition aired last Tuesday night on America's Got Talent, and we're gonna see where he goes. So let's just say congratulations to Silas Luke Jones, and hope that he does well, and takes home the gravy, takes home the bacon on this show. I'm not a huge America's Got Talent fan, but we'll see what it comes out like. So that's kind of the good news, the beginning of the good news. Let's start there. And I guess that's the first, man, I don't necessarily want to do bad news, but we'll do what we can do. What else is going on? Terry in the chat room, excuse me, mentioned the new proposed fuel tax up in the Matsu borough. The proposed fuel tax is up for public comment at next Tuesday's meeting of the Matsu Borough Assembly. If approved, that tax would go into an effect this coming January. And they said that they would, the intention, although I don't know I don't know enough about the Matsu Borough to know whether or not they can actually designate funds or not. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But they said their intention would be to fund road improvements by reducing the amount of debt taken by the borough. Now, 7 cents per gallon tax would be less than what they did in Anchorage. In Anchorage, they did a 10-cent per gallon tax in Anchorage. And my understanding is that that was intentional so that people would still be enticed to buy fuel in the Matsu versus buying gas in Anchorage. Now, because I drove a lot when I was living in the Matsu and working in Anchorage, I always tried to time it so that I was buying gas in the Matsu versus buying it in Anchorage, because, when I fill up my car, I could save $1.20, $1.30 just by filling up in the Matsu. And maybe that's not a lot, but it's $5 a month. I was filling up 5 times a month, $5 a month, in savings there. But the question is, what will the taxpayer say about this proposal? Will it, will it help? They say they want to try and reduce the amount of debt that is being taken on by the borough, and that they want to utilize this money to spend on things that they would normally bond for, or, everything else. But up until this point, the property owners in the borough have basically been carrying that burden. The property owners are the ones that are taking on the whole burden. And so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see at the, where it goes. But this, my friends, as we've talked about in the past, is the nature of government, that it just, it continues to grow. Even in the red Matsu, they're out there talking about new taxes. That's what that's the direction that they're going on right now. So, I mean, it never, it's amazing that it never goes backwards. Let me just say it that way. It's amazing that it never seems to go backwards. It always seems to go forwards, and always seems to increase, never decrease. But that's, I guess, the nature of the beast. I'm kind of trying to keep a watch on what's happening in different school boards around the state, because again, I'm coming to the conclusion more and more that they have a serious fiduciary responsibility to take the bull by the horns on these budgets, and to start to be realistic with the budgets in terms of what are you doing, how many kids are there going to be, what's the projections, how can you make what you have go farther, that kind of thing. And so I'm kind of interested to see these new concept plans, which have been put forward by the Kenai Peninsula Borough School District, and the Board of Ed, on an 8-1 vote on Monday. And I mentioned this earlier. They have now decided to combine Soldotna Elementary School and Redoubt Elementary School into the vacant Soldotna Prep School. Now, you'd think that by going into a school that's already there, it's a vacant building, you'd think it would not, but $35 million is the projected cost to, I guess, renovate, remodel, I didn't listen to the meeting. I don't have any of the documents in front of me. I'm just going by what was being reported in the local news on this. But I said at a cost of $35 million projected cost to combine the two into the vacant building. A set of education specifications, writes Jacob Dye over at the Peninsula Clarion, documents that define a full design for a school and how its space will be used to complete the task of educating students were adopted Monday and will be advanced for development and implementation. They described combining both Soldotna Elementary and Redoubt Elementary schools into one schoolhouse in the Soldotna Prep building, while dividing the vacated Redoubt Elementary facility between Soldotna Montessori Charter School and the River City Academy. Now, this comes after voters back in 2022 approved a $65 million school maintenance bond package that included, among several other big things, a new Soldotna Elementary School, which I got questions. Right? The Kenai Peninsula Borough had pointed to inflation, saying that the cost of the new school building would exceed the funds available in the bond by roughly $15 million. So in just the last 3 years since they proposed the bond, the cost of inflation, they say, has outstripped what they had put in the bond package for building that school by $15 million, which raises more questions about planning and everything. I mean, even before I had questions about, do you really need a new school with declining enrollment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Or are you arguing that the enrollment in the Kenai is actually going to justify that brand new school? Now, it was an 8-1 vote, and the one vote was against that, because they were concerned about the number of students now in that building, that they were afraid that the class sizes were now going to be too large. Now, it doesn't say in the news story how many kids are supposedly in this classroom, in this new consolidated school. But if it is what it is. We were talking about this in the Anchorage School District previously, when we were talking about many of the buildings there are between 40 and 55% capacity. Why you would not have a building that would be, comfortably at somewhere in the 80-85% capacity range, especially with a continued projected decline in enrollment. You're wasting space, you're wasting time, you're duplicating effort, you're doing all these things. But $35 million to combine these two schools. How much was the if the original bond package was $65.5 million as a maintenance package, how much of that was dedicated to a new school? And if you're taking that new school amount to remodel an old, I don't know, I've got questions. I just, at some point, you got to start feeling like this is all kind of a scheme to bolster up certain aspects of the private sector, like the construction industries. And every time we start talking about school construction and thing like that, I remember at one point in my life, I was helping to run a sign shop in Fairbanks. And in my spare time, I was helping to run a sign shop. And I remember that the sign shop, we would receive the trade magazines from the Association of General Contractors. And the trade magazine, and I still remember it to this day, the front cover of the magazine for that month, whatever it was. But the headline on the front of this magazine, which was again a trade magazine from the Association of General Contractors, which says, the headline read, selling schools to your local community, selling local schools to your local community. That was and the whole point was they were telling you how to talk to the people, how to get in your communities and convince them that they needed new schools, for that their old schools were old and dangerous. And, the new schools had technological innovations and all this kind of, and that's when it really struck me. This is 23 years ago, something like that. It just really struck me that was really what it was all about. This wasn't about, at its core, it wasn't about making a nice space for students or efficient spaces for students or anything else. This was about the work. This was about bolstering up the industry. This was about, convincing people that they really needed to spend millions of dollars on a new school building, even though you've got how many 100-year-old schoolhouses are there around the country? Maybe not as many these days, but back then there was still a significant number of facilities that were being used around the country that were 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years old. And up in Fairbanks, we had a couple of them that were in their 50, were probably approaching the 50-year mark, but they'd already torn down a bunch of them and were replacing them with schools that were not as big, not as adequate in many ways. And anyway, I have questions about this. Maybe we should drag somebody on here to talk more about this, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in this. But at least they didn't try and build a new building. I mean, they're still going to spend $35 million apparently combining or housing or remodeling this building. But I guess at least they're not building a new building, which is, I guess that's good. Maybe we should be taking a closer look at what the Matsu is doing. And maybe we should be looking at the cuts that I know Fairbanks made some deep cuts. Deep enough? I don't know. We could argue about that, but this is going to be on my mind here for the next few months as we get ready to go back to session, because this is just the beginning, folks. Just the beginning of milking us for every dollar that we can. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, let me get caught up because I was rambling. Okay. We're angry all the time, says Terry. Let's lighten it up. I did. I tried to lighten it up a little bit, Terry. Frank said I get agitated from 6 to 8, and then I get enlightened from the river for the rest of the day. Thank you to Melissa and Wendy. Good for you, my friend. Okay. I watched him on TV talking about Luke Silas Jones, said Chris. He played great. Ooh. All right. Rick says, I already pay a tax for RSA road service areas. I know. I know that they're just convinced, Rick, that they need that money. Anchorage said when Anchorage had the van pool program, it was prohibited from buying fuel in the valley. Yeah, because they wanted them to buy the fuel in Anchorage to get that 10 cents a gallon tax. If only the Matsu, said David, could find a way to tax meth. Wow. I'm just surprised you didn't get the Wasilla Billy comment in there. That's what I'm talking about. All right. But Brian said cold, but very true. Very cold, but true. Oh, that's methed up, man. That's methed up. Okay. Cindy says, so now where is the original bond money being allocated to? Do they need to put a new bond to vote since it changed scope? No, I think that they're just going to, the way that they don't say that specifically in the article in the Peninsula Clarion, but Cindy, I think that they're just going to take the money that was delegated to the new school in that bond, and they're going to use it to remodel the prep school. That's how I read it. That's how I read it. They're just going to remodel the prep school and spend $35 million doing it. I just don't know. You know. Terry said parents should keep their kids home in October so the count is 0 and the government can't fund the schools. I mean, you know, oof. Charlie says the FNSB school administration building amazes me. Hey, they worked hard for that building. They worked hard for that building. Don't worry about it. I worked at what? Chris said, I worked at a school on the Alaska Peninsula where they had 2 students and 2 teachers. The 2 students were the 2 teachers' kids. True story. Wow. Yeah. David just said this came the same could be said about the mining road out to West Susitna, talking about building to fund. We were talking about when I was talking about selling schools to the communities, that the general contractors were all about that. He said the same could be said about the mining road out to West Susitna. A person that I know who was on the front line of the fight against it told me that she talked to mining companies and they have all the equipment that they need out there as it was brought in on the winter ice road. The mining companies don't even need the road. Dunleavy wants the road so he can give the contracts to the construction companies that donated to his campaign. Well, okay. Okay. So, many kids many parents are going to keep their kids home on count day, from what I'm hearing. Ooh, that'll be interesting if that's the case. And Miguel says, Mike, it's okay to get a little angry, angry bird today. We all need a break from being angry. Yeah, I mean, you can only be angry so much before you start losing your mind. You know what I mean? All right. I got some other stories we're going to get into. Let's get to it. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke show.
Okay. Hi. How are you? Let me close some windows here. I want to get over to the stories, a couple of the stories that I want to chit chat about here. We'll come back, I guess, to this whole school board thing down the road. We're gonna dedicate some days to this. I don't know if you heard or not, but Lisa Murkowski, when she was asked if she was considering a run for governor, she said, sure. She said, sure. She had a press conference in her office on Monday, and she said her response was a little bit flippant, but she said she declined to rule out if she was considering a 2026 run for governor. She said she was not making any formal announcement, and that her, quote, responsibility to Alaskans is my job in the Senate right now. Where I'm at is now actually more than a full-time job. Wow. I mean, I guess all I could say at this point is wow. If she decided to run for she's been in the Senate for 23 years. Got in there on one of the most incredible cases of nepotism you've ever seen. Stayed in there, was almost ousted in 2010, but with little help from her Democratic friends, who threw their own preferred candidate, Scott Adams. I still feel bad for Scott Adams. They threw him under the bus. She was able to mount that writing campaign in 2010, but 23 years she's been in the Senate. And now she says, everybody asks me about it. So, when you're asked, you're like, oh, I was thinking about it. Would I love to come home? I have to tell you, of course, I would love to come home. She's looking for a way to keep that power base. She's looking for a way to stay in power. Now she's 70. She's 70 years old now. Let me just double check that to make sure that I got my numbers right. I believe she's 68. She will be 70 when her Senate term is over. But if she decided to run for governor, she'd be 70 during her first year in office, if that was the case. Now, of course, we already have a crowded field for the governor's race. We got Nancy Dahlstrom and Click Bishop, Bernadette Wilson, Edna DeVries, Matt Halala, James Parkin, Shelley Hughes. And there was word that Bruce Walton, I guess, was supposed to get in. It's something that Edna mentioned, and I haven't heard anything more about it. But I mean, and then you got, of course, Treg Taylor and Adam Crum that are going to run. And then you got the one Democratic candidate who I can never remember their name, but it's a lady from Fairbanks that has thrown their hat in the ring. And of course, there was a lot of speculation that Mary Peltola wanted to get in and everything else. But Lisa Murkowski, I'm just trying to think if that would be a mixed blessing or not. I mean, it might be a mixed blessing because, well, I mean, if she ran, but she could run and still be, could she run and still be a senator? I don't know if technically she could run for governor and still be senator and hold on to her seat if she loses. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think she would have, I don't even want to speculate. But really? Another Governor Murkowski after we had another Senator Murkowski? This is the whole thing's coming full circle back to the state because that's what happened to her dad. Which reminds me, did he have to step down? No, I don't think he did. He ran for governor, took the governor's mansion, and that vacated his seat. And then he appointed his daughter. Talk about a self-licking ice cream cone. Anyway, and she said she's not ready to announce anything other than my plans for August, but she's considering it. Now, interestingly enough, this might not be a good time for her to do that. Why? Well, because her favorability ratings have come back, and she is tanking among her base, which is the Democrat progressive moderate wing of Alaska. She is tanking. She dropped 75 points in her progressive base. Her standing has taken a serious hit, according to a new poll conducted by Alaska Survey Research. Must Read's got a thing on it here. As she toys with the idea of running for governor, the poll shows a dramatic downturn in her favorability ratings, especially among moderate and progressive voters, which is a big part of her current. If you don't think that's a big part of Murkowski's base, you ain't paying attention. Murkowski's overall favorability rating now stands at 33, which is down 13% from April. Her unfavorability rating has risen to 60%, up 15 points over the same period. So her favorability down 13, her unfavorability up 15. That's a 28-point net favorability swing in just 4 months. Moderates, the net favorability among moderates dropped from plus 28 to plus 2, which is a 26-point decline. For progressives, again, a 75-point drop. Her decline, where she went from a net favorability of plus 54 to minus 21. Now, conservatives, who've never really believed much in her, they remained largely unchanged at a negative 64 favorability rating. Now, a lot of this, of course, comes from the fact that she signed on to the big, beautiful bill. That there's a lot of discontent, drew a lot of criticism from her progressive base on this, but also, she's also she's isolated now from the left and the right. And she's only got those 2 years left in her Senate term. She's going to be 70 years old. Does she throw in the towel? Does she do the Don Young thing and keep going until she's 90? Does she try and hop the fence and head on and try and jump into the governor's race? I don't know. But I can say that I'm not agitated right now. I'm kind of gleefully cackling as I watch her favorability numbers just absolutely poop the bed over this. I mean, I'm glad she supported the big, beautiful bill. I'm glad something came. I mean, not that I'm a fan of the bill per se, but it's just nice. It's nice to see her take some hits. Let me just put it that way. Nice to see her take some hits on this. I wish that I wish I'd see it. And now, of course, she's getting eaten. Must Read has a picture of a flyer. It was a flyer circulated by Democrats that has been circulating with a picture of Murkowski that says, "Cowards don't belong in Alaska. Get Murkowski out in 2028." So maybe are they setting up Mary Peltola to take on Lisa Murkowski? Will it be Dunleavy versus Peltola versus Murkowski? I don't know. But I love to see them eat their own. It's just so great. All right, I have one final segment dead ahead, and I'm going to take on one of my favorite topics that normally makes me very ranty, but I am going to do my best to not rant. We're going to talk about private property rights and property taxes. Are you ready? That's coming up in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We return to more right after this.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
All right, Barbara just said my favorite segment. Your favorite segment is what? The rant segment, or when I talk about private property rights, or what? You know, what's going on? All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Beautiful morning in Fairbanks, says Debbie. Good morning. Miguel said there should be a bill passed where no candidate can accept outside state donations or even outside their districts. In my opinion, that would keep dark money out of this. Yeah, except for that pesky thing called the First Amendment, Miguel. That's the problem. It's a constitutional right. The donation of money is an expression of will and your First Amendment rights. That's part of the problem. Tony says, "Oh, please no." When I said that Murkowski may be running for the governor's house, Greg says 23 years too many. Yeah, no, yeah. Kim Nelson says, "God forbid, but I think Click for the win." Really, Click Bishop? The guy's about as exciting as watching toast dry. Okay, I mean he's got a lot of support. Don't get me wrong. You may be right. You know that you may be right, but. Again, it's about as exciting as watching toast dry. He's not. Well, then again, Mike Dunleavy is. Willie Keppel said Scott Adams, the only candidate that ever said no to open pit mines. Yeah, well, he got thrown under the bus when it was convenient for the party, didn't he? Let's see. Nepotism makes the world go around in Western Alaska, said Willie. When I was talking about one of the biggest moves in nepotistic history was that, he runs for governor, vacates his own seat, and then appoints his own daughter to that position. I mean, wow. I still remember my mind was so blown when that happened. Yeah, my mind is so blown. Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Joel. I said Dunleavy. I'm sorry. Joel just said, you said Dunleavy, he's termed out. I was talking about the Senate race. I said, are they running Mary Peltola against Lisa Murkowski for the Senate? And then Dunleavy, it's rumored that Dunleavy is setting himself up for a 2028 run for the Senate. So it would be Murkowski, Peltola, and Dunleavy. That's what I was talking about, not the governor's race. Anyway. Yeah, Lisa took a big hit when she helped pass the big, beautiful bill. Murkowski versus Democrat, Peltola versus Democrat. That would be a sight. Absolutely. Miguel said, there's someone on our assembly who believes we don't have property rights when it comes to trails going through your property, which is clearly stated in last year's local elections. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing about that. Hafner 2026, baby. That's right. That's right. Anyway. Okay. Whew. Man. I will tell you that I started off this day so punchy. I mean, I slept like 7 hours last night, which is that's usually I get between 5 and 6 hours. So I got an extra hour in there, but I woke up so punchy this morning. I mean, like I had the spins. I was sitting on the side of the bed going, whoa, I'm so tired. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, here we are. We made it to the end of the show. I feel like that's an accomplishment today. Whew. So we'll see. We'll see where we go from here. Okay, I'm all caught up. You ready to talk about? Oh, apologies. You ready to talk about property rights, private property taxes? Oh, howdy. I got some stuff to talk about with you today on this. I really should dedicate a whole hour to this sometime in the near future. Private property rights, property taxes, and more. I know we've been talking about things with Chris Story on the whole fair tax idea and everything, but the more I think about it, the more incensed I'm becoming on this. The more incensed I become. As the older I get, the more property I attain, the more that it is what it is. Stop putting those oils in your CPAP. Dude, you're lucky if I put water in my CPAP. If I remember to put water in my CPAP, I don't put any oils in my CPAP. Maybe that's what I need. I need some lavender oil or something in my CPAP. You make me sleep deeper. Sleep deeper. Could put you to sleep. Yeah, that's what it's all about. All right. Let's get to it. We will we'll get going on. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the YouTube-y stuff, and the thing. Only 24 likes. There's 50-something of you in here. 24.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Huh. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, welcome back. One final segment for today. It's going to be a short one. I purposefully held this till the end of the show, so I can't get too wound up. You know, when I carry a topic over into 2 or 3 segments because I'm getting wound up about it, I'm trying to be smarter in my old age, and I'm trying to plan these a little bit differently so I don't get too wrapped up in it. But I heard this, I saw this clip, saw this clip the other day. And I thought, well, this is the perfect conversation starter. And so I want to play you this clip. Remember, we're talking about private property rights and everything else. I want to play you this clip. And I just want to know, what do you think about this? What do you think about the statement? And then we'll wrap it back around. I'll give you some background and some details. But here's the clip. Private property taxes. Hit it.
You should own your property free and clear. I think to say that someone that's been in their house for 35 years just has to keep ponying up money, it's interesting because it's like, if I go to Best Buy and buy a flat screen TV and put it on the wall, I got to pay a sales tax on it, right? I don't keep paying tax on it every year. I mean, it's just that's not how we do things. It's like, okay, if you're going to tax something, you tax it at the transaction and then let people actually enjoy their private property free and clear of the government.
GOAT, right? That right there is the GOAT. And for those of you who don't have kids or are not hip like I am on the internet, that is the greatest of all time. Anybody want to guess who that was? It's the guy that I kind of wish we had for a governor. I really do. That is Ron DeSantis from Florida. And he has been taking it to the streets in Florida on several issues. And private property rights and property taxes is one of the things that he's taking on right now. And I got to tell you, I mean, I wish I had an applause. Do I have an applause button? I don't think I have. I do. I have an applause. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I got so many buttons I forget which ones I actually have. But yeah, I mean, it couldn't be better said. Because as I've often said in my moments of frustration and just outrage, property taxes is one of the most immoral things that we've ever come up with in this country. Period. End of full stop, end of sentence. When you go back and look at what the genesis of the property tax was and what it's actually become, initially property tax was essentially planned on to be basically on commercial properties. I mean, what they weren't called, they did at the time, they didn't call them, but it was basically farmland, and you were only taxed on the gain of that land. Meaning if you farmed it and you had a crop, then you'd pay a tax on the crop. If you left it fallow, you let it rest, you didn't pay anything. I mean, that's kind of where the whole thing started to begin with. But it's slowly morphed over the years until, and I guess I should clarify here, I don't necessarily have a problem with commercial-based taxes. So if you're running a business, because that would still fall into kind of that same, that a business would pay property taxes because that's wrapped up into the function of doing business, right? You're doing it. But on your private property, on your home, especially on your recreational property, things that can be earned generationally. I had this little cabin that my granddad built up on the river years ago, right? And yet we see it time and time and time again where people receive property in some cases like a recreational property. They get a cabin up on the Salter River or something. And even though they're off the road system, they receive no services. They don't get it, they still have to pay the taxes on that little cabin. And because it's recreational property, it's more expensive because it's recreational. And it drives them into insolvency. And so then they have to liquidate. We've seen it down here in Homer. Chris Story has talked about the story of the story of the woman who's in her 80s, who'd lived in her home for years, raised her family there, had her kids, and then because of the cost of the property taxes, it drove her out of her own home. It's not necessarily just it happens all the time. And so I look at this and I'm just like, okay, private property taxes. Again, not commercial property. And Ben Carpenter's right. Consumers pay commercial taxes. The consumers do. It's baked into the business model. But as a homeowner, you can't just go out and start charging people around you to pay your taxes. Right? So, I mean, I would say that there is an argument for, commercial taxes on commercial real estate or commercial property. Okay, I could see that. A slight justification for that. But on your own private property, my own private property that you've blood, sweat, and tears, you bought, you paid for it, you will continue to pay that tax every year until the day you are basically renting it from the government. And then to add insult to injury. Now, this is not necessarily a problem in the Fairbanks area. Well, when I was living there, it wasn't a problem. Because in Fairbanks, we have what is called GU1, General Use 1 land, which pretty much allowed for anything except for I think it was a pig farm and a nuclear reactor or nuclear disposal site. I think those are two of the ones that are mentioned specifically in the code. I mean, you can do almost anything on GU1 land. And the vast majority of land in the borough is GU1 land. Now, if you were unfortunate enough to have a piece of property that was, was rural or agricultural or commercial or sub-commercial or whatever, then you may have a bigger problem. But most of the land up there is GU1 land. So we didn't necessarily, when I lived there, didn't have much of a problem with it. But in other parts of the state, I'm hearing more and more about how the planners, the comprehensive planners, the planning board, they're telling you more and more about what you can do with your property that you are paying for, that you've already paid for, maybe even paid off. Maybe nobody, but you don't own the bank. It's just all yours, but you still have to go and kowtow to the government every year. And if you don't, you are just 2 or 3 short years, my friend, from having the police show up at your door and evict you from your place that you own outright because you don't pay your tribute to Caesar. Because you don't pay for the privilege of living there. That's a huge deal. That it is just so philosophically wrong in so many different ways. And yet we become so inured to it, and it's become, because the first thing that Chris, the first questions that Chris gets when he starts talking about the whole fair tax idea is, well, how will we pay for our government? Some other way. We've got to find some other way. It is just, again, I'm trying not to get too upset about this because it deeply disturbs me that people are okay with it. And I think that the argument that Chris has come up with on this is so brilliant as well. His argument is not to remove property tax. His argument is to make it, again, a set fee at the purchase price, et cetera, et cetera. So I admire that part of it because it doesn't force people out of their homes, due to rising values. But at the same time, it's a capitulation to the government. There should be no tax on private property. None. How will we pay for the government? We'll figure out a way. We will figure out a way. But no, people just can't wrap their brains around it. And don't think that the renters aren't paying because that's wrapped up in the rent. Don't think that but how many people have you known or heard of or had happen to you where you were basically forced out of a piece of property because of the cost of those taxes? So this quote from DeSantis, this really just triggered me. And I want to have a whole show on it. And we're going to have to come back around to it because I'm out of time for today. But at least I didn't get too upset about it. Because it's evil. The property taxes are evil. I'm just going to say it. It's property taxes on homes, private property, your home, evil. And it should stop. And if I had a magic wand, I'd make it stop right now. All right. Well, I guess that's it for today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day. Oh, I really just want to run off at the mouth right now. I really want to just run off at the mouth right now. It's evil. It's immoral. It should never have occurred. And we have given into this and allowed it to become common practice. And yeah, it's so wrong. Okay. I can't even articulate. I get agitated so much. My brain just goes into gridlock when I start talking about it. Okay, my friends. I appreciate you guys coming on board today. Yeah, every time I talk taxes, but property taxes specifically, private property rights. And when I was on the Borough Assembly in Fairbanks, my most proud moment was the times that I was able to protect private property rights. I gotta go. I got things to do today. All right, my friends, it's good to talk with you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.